What's the best tip for cutting down unnecessary expenses? We actually had a client recently that gave me an update. Somebody I talked to about 3 months ago, and they were really struggling. They were looking at their income after taxes, and they were looking at their expenses, and their expenses were almost $2,000 higher than their income. And so my first question is, are you living off loans? And they said, well, yeah, I'm having to get new loans to pay off the old loans. And so they were really overextended. And so I just asked them a simple question. When's the last time you pulled up your bank statement and went through it and looked at your expenses? And they said, honestly, I haven't. And so what I did is I said, that's step one, just pull up your bank account. Let's look through your expenses. And they started getting through, and she said they got through the first week and they were just fully taken back. They were embarrassed. They had subscriptions coming out of their account they didn't even know about, or they don't remember. They were probably something they agreed to originally, but it's been charging them $20 a month. They didn't realize how quickly these unnecessary expenses started to add up. And so when they're looking at their expenses, they're like, man, there's no way I'm paying this. And so after going through it and taking a calculator to it, they realized really quickly that they were well overspending, and it was one of the biggest issues. And so how do you cut out these unnecessary expenses? Is you have to be looking at your bank account, bank statements at least once a month, at least. Sometimes you need to be catching these expenses ahead of time so that if it is an unnecessary expense that you have to dispute with your bank, you can do it early enough before time runs out and they tell you, hey, you can't dispute this debt. But not only that, it allows you to stay on top of it. So anyways, this client, 90 days later, literally was able to find a way to save and get under budget and be able to start to live a little bit more freely. Meaning they weren't sitting here having to go take out new loans to cover the loans that they were already taking out because they were overspending. And so, you can do this easily. You can't be scared. You have to stay on top of it. Set an alarm on your phone to check your bank statement once a month. Just start there and start to really deep dive into every expense that you have and say, what are the things that are not necessary that I need to stop spending money on? And you'll find very quickly the expenses you didn't know about or didn't remember that you're spending money on, but also the ones that you can cut out immediately and start to have money and to free up some of that, honestly, that stress that you're going through financially of like not being able to make ends meet. You got to go into the bank statements. You got to be honest with yourself. And I promise this will help solve a lot of the issues that you're dealing with.